of time with the Switch 2 since it launched, and honestly there's a lot to unpack. It's bigger, it's faster, and the new screen is easily my favorite upgrade so far. I'm really glad I picked one up. That said, a few things kind of caught me off guard, so let's dive into the good, the not so good, and everything in between with Nintendo's latest console 3 months later. I'll admit, I'm not a hardcore gamer, but I enjoy a good game now and then, which is exactly what I feel like Nintendo has just always kind of excelled at. Growing up, I was surrounded by Nintendo consoles. My dad had the OG N64. My first game console was the Nintendo GameCube, still one of the best systems ever in my opinion. Then came the Wii, which I'd rank just as high up there. I still have mine hooked up to my TV, actually just ready for Wii Sports, baseball, tennis, bowling, golf, and of course, taking on mat and boxing whenever I need to work out or just get some frustration out. I'm sure we've all been there. The Switch 2 is bigger and a bit heavier than I expected, not in a bad way. It just feels solid and premium in the hands. The overall shape is unmistakably Switch, but the subtle tweaks make it feel fresh. Bezels are thinner, though still pretty noticeable. The frame is slightly wider and the grip is much improved. Most of the layout feels familiar, but a few updates kind of stand out. There's a new C button for game chat, redesigned Joy-Cons, and arguably the most underrated upgrade, the kickstand. The kickstand is stronger, wider, and more adjustable up to 150 degrees. I usually tilt mine all the way back, making it easy to pick up off my desk, and after plenty of use at home and on the go, mine still looks pretty much brand new. The all black design is sleek with subtle pops of color in the joysticks, and it doesn't show fingerprints easily. Around the 7.9-inch display, you'll find the game card slot, headphone jack, USB-C charging port, microphone, volume buttons, and power button. Flip it over and there's another USB-C port for docking or charging, plus the upgraded kickstand, which cleverly hides the micro SD Express card slot underneath. The UI is clean, simple, and intuitive. Anyone new to the Switch can basically just pick it up and use it right away. Settings are just a couple button presses away, making it basically plug and play, almost Apple-like in its simplicity. The Switch 2 features a 7.9-inch display, definitely a big screen, but it's not OLED, which feels like a bit of a missed opportunity, but it does offer a 1920 by 1080p LCD touchscreen with a 120Hz variable refresh rate, HDR10, and VRR support. At 279 ppi, it's sharper than I expected, and overall the image quality is pretty solid. Coming from OLED panels on my iPhone, iPad, monitor, and TV, I thought it might be a bit of a step back, but surprisingly, it doesn't feel like it. Colors are still vibrant, the image is crisp, and the larger screen makes everything feel more immersive. That said, it is still an LCD, so blacks aren't as deep, the contrast ratio isn't as good, and it drops slightly when you're tilting the screen. Reflections are well controlled, and the brightness hits around 380 nits in SDR, which is enough for most situations. The 120Hz refresh rate is a pleasant surprise, especially from Nintendo, who usually takes a bit of a cautious approach to performance. Few games support it yet, but the potential is exciting. A few downsides are worth noting. Nintendo advertises HDR, but without local dimming, true HDR really isn't possible, so toggling it within games doesn't really make a noticeable difference, and the bezels are also thicker than expected, which combined with the lack of OLED can feel like a bit of a downgrade. If you're after an OLED-like experience though, docking the Switch 2 and playing it on an OLED TV is definitely the way to go. The included dock matches the console with its matte finish and compact design. It's sturdy without taking up too much space, and on the sides you get 2 USB ports, and behind the removable back cover there's a USB-C port for charging and power, an HDMI 2.1 port, and a LAN port for wired internet. Docked gameplay feels like a true console level experience. Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart ran at smooth 60 frames per second in 4K, and on my OLED TV it looked incredible. I can't wait to revisit more classics, especially upcoming Switch 2 upgrades and even some AAA games like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. One thing to note though, while HDMI 2.1 supports 4K with HDR up to 60 frames per second, variable refresh rate isn't available in docked mode. If you want a faster frame rate, you have to lower the resolution in the system settings to hit that 120Hz refresh rate, which feels like a bit of a compromise, but it's not too bad. The new Joy-Cons are impressive. They're larger, making them easier to hold, and attaching or detaching them is now magnetic, which I personally love. Fun fact is the magnets are inside the Switch itself, not the Joy-Cons. The SLSR buttons are metal, which the console grips onto, and it's surprisingly clever. The bigger buttons made a real difference while playing Mario Kart World with friends. The split Joy-Cons finally feel comfortable and natural. Mouse mode hasn't been useful for me yet so far, but it'll be interesting to see how widely it's actually adopted. I mostly play handheld, but when I do dock the Switch 2, I prefer a proper controller. The new Joy-Con grip is an improvement, but still not super comfortable for long sessions, and that's where the Switch 2 Pro Controller really shines. Honestly, it's the most comfortable controller I've just ever used. I've tried a lot of controllers over the years, PS3, PS5, Xbox One, and 360, and the new Pro 2 takes the win. The soft Joy-Con style finish feels incredible, the overall shape fits my hands perfectly, and the weight balance is spot on. Thumbs naturally fall on the sticks and face buttons, which glide smoothly with no plasticky sort of like grind. It almost feels like there's a tiny rubber band preventing sticking, making micro adjustments just feel effortless. Battery life is insane though, around 30 hours, roughly 6 times more than a DualSense controller. The only downside is the lack of analog triggers. They're just buttons, so you can't like gradually press them for precise control in like racing games, for example. Now what makes this Pro controller in docking mode even better is pairing it with a massive high quality projector like this one right here. Meet the Valerion VisionMaster Pro 2, a 4K RGB laser projector capable of delivering up to a 300-inch screen, bringing a cinematic experience both indoors or outdoors. It comes in a hard foam case perfect for travel or storage and includes the projector, remote, power cable, manual, and lens cleaning wipe. The design feels premium with a dense glass front panel housing the lenses and the sensors for auto keystone and autofocusing. The top features long-range microphones for voice assistance, and the bottom has a kickstand and a 1/4-20 thread for just like putting it on a table or mounting it on your ceiling or a tripod. Around the back, there's an IR sensor, power button, Ethernet, headphone jack, 3 HDMI ports including eARC support, 2 USB ports, SPDIF, and the power jack. The built-in 12-watt speakers are surprisingly clear and loud enough for casual listening or small gatherings. In terms of specs, the projector delivers 30,000 lumens through its RGB laser system, covering 110% of the Rec 2020 space for accurate colors, and is ISF certified. It can project up to 300 inches with a 0.9 to 1.5 inch throw ratio, maintaining sharpness at larger sizes. For gaming, it offers a 4 millisecond input lag at 1080p and supports up to 240 Hz. It also supports Dolby Vision, HDR10, IMAX Enhanced, Filmmaker Mode, and smart features like Google TV, Google Assistant, Alexa, and Apple HomeKit. A standout and honestly my favorite feature is the auto calibration system. The autofocus, auto keystone, and optical zoom are handled automatically, so place this projector anywhere, powered on, and it'll adjust the image perfectly, even on angled or uneven surfaces. And beyond the initial Wi-Fi and Google TV setup, there's no manual tweaks needed. Enhanced black levels provide deeper blacks at a 15,000 to 1 contrast ratio, and the dynamic tone mapping balances highlights and shadows, delivering a true cinematic experience. I tested it on a plain wall and even slightly angled, and the image squared perfectly and stayed bright and sharp the entire time. After 2 weeks of use, I genuinely haven't touched my TV. The first thing I watched was the Pirates of the Caribbean series, of course, and it looked incredible. With Halloween coming up, I'm planning to queue a couple of horror movies next, but definitely drop your suggestions in the comments as to what I should watch on this projector. Overall, the Valerion VisionMaster Pro 2 feels like a high-end movie theater at home. It's bright, responsive, and feature-packed, making movies, sports, or games look fantastic indoors or outdoors. And make sure to check the link in my description if you want to grab one for yourself, and huge thanks to Valerion for sponsoring this video. Playing Switch 2 games like Breath of the Wild, Star Wars Outlaws, and Mario Kart World look and feel amazing. I haven't noticed any drop frames or stuttering, and I've experienced a pretty smooth 40 to 60 frames per second within these titles. Now, games that aren't optimized for the Switch, like Lego Star Wars, for example, or Need for Speed, can be capped at around like 30 frames per second, but it really isn't a bother since performance stays consistent and locked down throughout the gameplay. Even a heavy game like Hogwarts Legacy, which is available on all the major gaming platforms, looks great whether docked or in handheld. It's not PS5 level, but for a portable battery-powered device with a built-in screen, it's pretty solid. Think of it like trading a desktop for a laptop, a small drop in raw power for the portability. A standout quality of life just feature that I absolutely love is the sleep mode, as you can just jump basically like in and out of games almost instantly. It's a massive improvement over basically any other console, and coming from like the Xbox 360 era, these speeds surprise me every single time. That said, some new tech isn't being fully utilized. The 120Hz display is a major selling point but sees almost no support yet. Outside of the Switch Welcome Tour, very few titles take advantage of it. VRR is equally underused. For example, Star Wars Outlaws supports it, but most first-party games like Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza do not. Even DLSS isn't being leveraged. Nintendo built the hardware, but most of these features are just sitting idle, which is kind of puzzling. Battery life on the Switch 2 sparks mixed opinions, with a Bluetooth speaker and a medium brightness playing Mario Kart drained about 0.5 to 1% per minute. Not terrible, but not great. More demanding games like Hogwarts Legacy drops the battery even faster, giving around only like 2 hours of continuous gameplay. Being my first handheld, I wasn't sure what to expect. 2 hours seems to be like the typical, while lighter games like Need for Speed can stretch closer to 3. Even with the 90% charge limit enabled, I still carry a battery bank for longer sessions and really anytime I take the Switch out on the go. Charging speed is another downside. In 2025, fast charging is basically standard, but the Switch 2 takes about 3 hours for a full charge, longer than a heavy use gameplay session. And if you compare that to even something like the MacBook, which hits 50% in 30 minutes, it feels kind of embarrassing for the Switch to take so long to charge. I often keep a battery bank plugged in like with me at all times. Usually around like 30%, I'll just plug it in because I just know it's not going to last much longer. After 3 months with the Switch 2, it's still my primary console though, and here's why. Portability. The Switch 2 is one of the only major consoles that I can truly take with me. PS5 and Xbox offer streaming via PlayStation Portal, Remote Play, or Game Pass, or Xbox Cloud, whatever they call it, but offline play is essential when traveling. Trains, planes, and Wi-Fi limits make streaming unreliable. It's flexibility that sets the Switch 2 apart. I can play it handheld or on my TV, detach the JoyCons for multiplayer, or throw it on my projector, or just take it anywhere. I've played a wide variety of games, first-party titles, enhanced Switch 1 games, and third-party releases. Most of my time has been spent in Mario Kart World and Zelda Breath of the Wild, but Hogwarts Legacy and Star Wars Outlaws have been incredible too. Lego games like Star Wars, Avengers, Jurassic World, and then I also have the Need for Speed game. It's all just been like a nostalgic trip for me. I really love the great deals section. I find that there's actually pretty good deals sometimes. Like I got the whole like Lego collection somehow for only like $5-6 a piece, and I've just been enjoying this like nostalgic kind of trip. For this reason, the Switch 2 has become one of my favorite pieces of tech. It's not perfect, but it's incredibly close in terms of hardware, and I can't wait to see how it evolves. What do you think of the Switch 2? And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a like and share it to a friend. And if you like Apple tech or desk setup related content, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.